All right, what's going on, everybody? Archery season is almost here, and I waited way to the last minute, but I'm actually changing up my sight this year. So this is the Covert single pin. I love this sight. For the price, it is probably the best single pin out there. A lot of people use this just because it's a good deal and it works really well with the interchangeable tapes. But I really like the detachable mount version. So previously, I used the Apex Gear Attitude that also had a detachable mount. But mine was getting pretty beat up, pretty worn down. And Apex just came out with basically a new version of the Attitude sight. They call it the Magnitude. It's basically the same movement system as the Attitude, but everything else about it is bigger and beefier. Bigger reflective ring. When it gets dark, this is super bright, which I really like. It makes it really easy to line up that peep. It's just a 5-pin. I like 6, but that's just based on my bow setup, so I'm just gonna rock the 5-pin this year. If I'm shooting beyond 60, it'll be very, very rare. So 5-pin will work well. It also has this cool detachable sunshade. It is kind of beefy, so I understand some people maybe not wanting it, but man, if you want just a little bit extra protection just to prevent some glare inside the housing, it's got that little O-ring just to lock it in place. This sunshade's great because the inside, actually the whole thing is textured. So pretty cool, just threads in there. And it's the same large aperture like the original Attitude. You can see it's a hair bigger than the Covert Pro. But anyway, all that to say this sight comes in a right-handed configuration, just like most archery sights. Some sights are really easy to flip over, some are a pain in the butt to flip over. And so that's just what I want to show you today, the process for flipping this over to the left-handed bows. So honestly, it could be as simple. It comes this way, you rotate it this way. The dovetail mount is symmetrical. I'll take it off here. This is the one that comes with the old style. The new one, it looks a little different, but it's actually the same compatibility. So technically, you could just run it like this and it would work fine. Now notice on the detachable mount, the thumb knob, instead of coming from the top, it comes down from the bottom. That's normal, that's how it's supposed to be. I've tried looking at it, there's no way to flip it around to keep that on top, but it's okay, I really don't mind it. So you could run it like that. The only problem with that is if you need to make an adjustment, your elevation knob isn't there. It's now down here. So we'll need to change that. And then the bubble level is up in the top of the sight. I don't know, maybe some of you guys like it like that. I'm used to it being in the bottom, just like most other archery sights, but it's pretty easy to change. So we'll change that too. Fortunately, the pin configuration is symmetrical. Green, red, amber, red, green. So no need to change anything there. And what I really like about this sight compared to the old version, the Attitude, is instead of the fibers wrapping back through the bracket where they could kind of get hung up on stuff, now they're all at the front of the housing where they get a little bit more light anyway, and there's no strings, nothing hanging off back here. So I really like how they rerouted the fibers. So very first, we're gonna start with this level. So basically, today we're gonna be using the 3 smallest sizes of your standard archery hex tools. So starting with your 1/16, you just loosen up this screw at the bottom here. And your level just kind of falls off like that. That's your screw. Obviously, hang on to that. And then don't forget you've got these 2 little set screws. Those are used for if the level doesn't match the level of your bow, you can loosen that main screw and use these to push up on it to change the angle at which the level sits. So you can adjust that level. But we're just gonna go ahead and take them out because they are no longer needed on this side. Now you flip the side over, and you'll notice now on the other side with the logo, you have the exact same set of holes. All threaded, tapped, everything you need. So go ahead and take those little grub screws, install that back where it was. And right now, I don't want these to influence the level. So I'm just going to get it so it's almost flush, it's not poking out the back side. And I would recommend not applying additional Loctite to these. There may have been a tiny bit of Vibratite on the threads from the factory, but with these little screws, if you Loctite them down really good, you're probably likely to strip them trying to get them out. This isn't like a slide on a firearm that's recoiling back and forth. Does get a little bit of vibration, but not too bad. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and switch back to my 1/16. I'm gonna go ahead and put the screw on there just to hold it for me. Take your bubble level, and now we're putting it on the side with the Apex logo. So yeah, we are kind of burying that logo on the bottom, but that's all right. So we're gonna go ahead and line up our bubble level down here. Start threading that in nice and gently. And like anything on a bow sight, you want to get it firm, but you don't want to over tighten anything. What I also like about this housing, so obviously it's rounded, but then they've machined a little flat for the bubble level to sit. So it fits in there very, very nicely. So get it nice and tight. Don't strip it, don't over torque it. Just like that. So we got our bubble level done. These two little screws, just gonna go ahead and kind of take up the slack in those, basically. I'm gonna go ahead and push them up till I feel some resistance. That means they are touching the bottom of that level. There we go. That way they're not angling the level at all, but they're all the way tightened in, just so they won't rattle out or anything. So there we go. Our bubble level is looking nice. Now, again, we could use it just like this. A lot of people probably will. Me being picky and just wanting everything to look proper, I'm gonna go ahead and move this knob over to the top. So what we're gonna do is basically take off that knob, unthread this screw, put it back in the other way, and replace the knob. So not too bad. So to do that, again, on your standard set of archery tools, I believe this one takes a 3/32, which is the same as your pins. Yep, that is correct. So go ahead and unscrew. There's a little set screw on the side of the elevation knob. You don't need to take this all the way out. You're just trying to make this so it can free spin. And see how that spins? I'm just gonna hold it in with a screwdriver. Screwdriver's probably a little too big for the job, but it'll work right. And unscrew that knob. Come right off. And again, don't lose that little screw. You're gonna need that. Now, flip the side over. You've got this really long screw in here with a lot of threads. So this takes a little bit. So I'm just removing this screw. Simple enough, you get the idea. I'm gonna go ahead and get it all the way out and then cut. All right, so this screw is the entire adjustment range of the sight. So it can take forever and a day to get this thing out. So once you do, pretty simple. It came in this way. You're gonna take it and now put it coming in from the underside of the sight. And you just thread it back in exactly like it was. Just going the opposite way, and then our knob's gonna go up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this so you don't have to watch me put that whole screw in again. All right, so once you've got the screw all the way installed, just use your screwdriver and just make sure that that's snug all the way up against the top. It will start spinning on you because the threads do stop, so it will spin on you. But you just want to make sure that there's no slack, the screw's not hanging out, because if you do that, when you turn the knob, you'll be adjusting that in and out rather than the whole sight up and down. So once that stud is sticking up like that, you take your cap that you set aside earlier and you just start threading it on. Nice and easy. And I'm going to hold down on this right here just so it doesn't spin on me. And then just tighten it to the point that it starts feeling snug. Again, this just holds the knob on. We're not really holding anything together in this step. So once it feels snug, we're good to go. Go back to your 3/32 hex tool. And at this point, all we're doing is just tightening that knob down. That's just so that knob is attached to that long stud. and it controls the movement of the entire screw without slipping. So you want to hold that firm, but again, you're threaded into aluminum here, so don't just crank down on it and over tighten it and strip that. So no Loctite or anything either. So just nice and firm, and then you're good to go. So with that, we have converted everything we need. We have our bubble level down in the bottom. Our adjustment is up on top. We never changed anything with the windage. We're good to go. So you can install this back on your bow. I've got the bracket sitting here. And you'll see the knob goes on the bottom. And your position markers, like position 3, down in there if you can see it, those still point up so you can see them. One thing that a lot of people screw up on this site and other sites with a similar design is they go to make an adjustment to either the elevation or a windage. They start turning this without unlocking it. They basically are just pulling through that set screw. They'll break that open and then they'll start unscrewing the knob. That's because this lock is doing its job. This lock holds everything into place. So if you need to make an adjustment, use your 9/64 hex, unlock that. It'll be a little bit wiggly when it's unlocked, but now it'll track nice and smooth up and down, just like it's supposed to on that really fine thread. Then once you get it where you like it, lock down on it, and that's a stainless screw, real nice, good quality screw in there. Lock it down, and it's not going anywhere. So I hope you found that helpful. Whether you have the old attitude or the new magnitude, that's how you convert it to left-handed. Good luck this season, y'all. And installing onto the bow, it's nice and simple. Find your position, lock it down,